Hey y'all, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is a 2017 mental health and review. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I have links in the description bar at the bottom. It explains the definition of borderline personality disorder and social anxiety disorder. It is things I deal with on a daily basis. So a little backstory, I was clinically diagnosed with borderline personality disorder on June 20th, 2014. So it's been about 3.5 years since I was diagnosed. I do take antidepressants and anti-anxiety/anger medication. As long as I take my medication every single day, I am good. Doesn't mean I don't have bad days and good days, it just means I'm good. So I started talking about mental health on my channel because I think mental health awareness is very important. I think the more people that know about mental health, the better off we can be, as long as, if we get educated about it. I tell my story not for sympathy. I tell it because I want you to know you're not alone. So basically what BPD is in a nutshell is when your moods change very quickly at any given time. You don't know why. It just happens. And so usually it happens when you suffer from a traumatic event or some sort of abuse going on. And so, or like a traumatic event like death, abuse, sexual abuse, all that type of stuff. And there are 9 traits for BPD. You have to have 5 of them to be diagnosed. I fit all 9. So if you want to look up what that is. So I call myself a special snowflake. But I want to talk about this year and how this year has been. This year started off shitty, but it's ending a lot better. December of 2016, I lost my maternal grandmother. And so going into 2017 was really, really hard. And I just tried to, remember her, how she was and what a great person she was, and just went from there. March of this year, my husband's grandmother, who I call grandma because I've been married to my husband for 12 years and have been with him for 17, so I just call her grandma. She got sick in March and she passed away September 17th of this year. And so this year has had a lot of ups and downs as far as emotions, and I'm ready for 2017 to be over. Honestly, I am. But as far as that goes, I think I handled the death of my husband's grandmother very well, considering that I don't do death well at all. I don't know anybody who deals with death well, but I really don't deal with death very well. And so it was very hard for me. And I will say this, for my husband's grandmother's funeral, I did her makeup, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. Like, I thought a lot of things I did were hard, but doing that was really, really hard because I was already dealing with her dying, and my mother-in-law trusted me only to be the one to do her makeup. So it was a privilege and an honor to do that, but it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. I didn't know how I was going to get through it, but I did. And I am very thankful for that. But this year has been trying on my emotions, so to speak. If you've been subscribed to me for a while, then for a couple of months here on my channel, it was very drama filled. It was very childish, very petty. And I decided to change that for the sake of my channel and also for the sake of my mental health. Because if I would have kept going, my channel would probably be like downhill. It wouldn't still be here. And so I had to change that because I knew I needed to be a better person mentally. If I'm a better person mentally, I can put out better videos. And so doing that and changing that has made my channel even better. It's grown with subscribers and all that. So I'm very thankful that I can have self-awareness. And when you have self-awareness, you can do a lot better. But good things that happened this year. We purchased a house and we closed in January, so 2017 is ending on a good note, thankfully. And so mentally preparing for that is a little anxiety driven, but I think I don't have any more anxiety than any other person would, like purchasing a house, especially when it's being built. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, it's normal to have to be anxious and want to hurry up and move in and all that stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. As far as like my depression, I've had some low days this year, and I think some of them were expected, especially dealing with death and dealing with anniversaries, because I don't deal with anniversaries of death very well either. Because in previous years, I haven't done so well. So this year was a really good year for lack of a better word, for me dealing with anything tragic that happened. But you know, all in all, I think this year, as far as dealing with my emotions, has been a good year because I've dealt with them a lot better than I have in the past. And I chalk that up to just being aware and not engaging in something if I'm not in my quote-unquote right mind, and also taking accountability for actions. I'm a person where I hate to apologize. I really do, because I'm a Virgo. We're very stubborn, but I will apologize if I know I'm in the wrong. And so when I did that in a live stream, and I really just took accountability for my actions. That's kind of was the wake-up call, and so that to me just shows growth. But yeah, this year I've done very well, and so I kind of want to give like just this backstory of you know, how I was diagnosed, in case you're new to my channel. 2014 was a really bad year. It was a really bad year. Like May of 2014 was just a very bad month. A lot of just crazy stuff happened in my personal life. And June, I was involuntarily checked into a mental hospital, and shortly after that I was diagnosed. And being diagnosed was like a catch-22, because now I know that now I know this is not normal behavior. This is erratic behavior, but now I got to figure out how to control this. And so I did a lot of research for BPD and social anxiety disorder, and I became so obsessed with it that it made me worse. And I offer researching your mental illness and learning so you can know what triggers you, but when it becomes obsessive, it can make you worse. So I stopped obsessing over it, and I became better. And you know, and over time I've gotten better at knowing what triggers me. There's things that trigger me that I just do not deal with, and it's you know, talks of like self-harm, like, you know, like for attention. You know, people that talk about self-harm when they want to just, you know, they need some help. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who just do things to be triggering, or talking about like, you know, any type of abuse of anything. I tend to stay away from those things because, not that I don't care about whatever person's going through, but I care about mental health more. So I lost my train of thought there for a minute, but, I kind of know what triggers, and I'm in a state now where I can feel when my mood is about to switch. I've gotten to the point now where I can tell it's about to switch. So usually when that happens, I will like go in the room, or I'll go somewhere and just try to take a step back and take a breather, then come back to doing what I'm doing and go from there. Because if I know good up here, I can't be any good to anybody else. And a lot of times if you're hurting mentally, you'll say something that you'll regret to somebody else. And I try to stay away from that. I don't want anyone to, you know, be offended or be hurt by anything I say. I'd rather just save it, be quiet for a little bit, and then come back. So it's good to be aware of when your moods are going to switch. That way you can kind of switch it to go do something else. And, you know, speaking of that, and like this year, I haven't really done self-care as much as I needed to. I'm very big on telling people to do self-care, and I'm very bad at following my own advice. And so I knew for 2018, I knew I needed to do something about that. And I do have a traveler's notebook that I will be using as a self-care journal tracker, because I didn't have anything. I had where I was tracking my moods, and I stopped doing that because it was driving me crazy. It was like I would compare my day to the day before, and like, why am I not having a good day? It was giving me anxiety. So tracking my moods is not something I need to do. I just need to make sure that I get some self-care in every single day. I think it's important to get self-care in, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a whole day, whatever. I think it's important to take care of you, especially if you have to take care of other people. You know, if you have a spouse, a partner, and kids, because you can't be your best self to them if you're not your best self to yourself. So 2018, you know, I'm going in more self-care. I've even started incorporating now, that way when 2018 gets here, it's not something that's new to me. And I always make sure I get some form of self-care in every single day, whatever that is. And as long as I get my self-care in, then I'm a better person. But this year, I've learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about people. But when you learn more about yourself and what you know, and what you're capable of and how strong you are, especially when it comes to having a mental illness, you'll learn from that and you can teach other people. And that's usually what I do. Like, I talk about mental health openly whenever it's a topic of conversation. I have nothing to be ashamed of, because I want people to feel like they're not alone. If you feel like you're not alone, then it's a breath of fresh air. And so that's why I do these types of videos, to let you guys know. And, you know, I've had people tell me before, you don't look like you have BPD. You don't look like you have depression. And I always laugh at that, because there is no face. There is no way to look. You know, with depression, it's one of those things where it's a mask. We can make people laugh, we can make people happy, we can make people smile, and we can be laughing too. But when we go home, we can be the saddest person in the world. That's what it is. Like, take Robin Williams for instance. Robin Williams was a comedian. He loved making people laugh, but he was severely depressed. And mental illness has no face. You know, you can be related to somebody who has a mental illness and you don't know it. You can be working with somebody, you can be friends with somebody, whatever, and you will never know it. And that's why I say mental health awareness is very, very important. And speaking of mental health awareness, I want to give you guys some tips and tricks to look for. Some tips to look for, some signs to look for. If you are friends with somebody, these are things to look for if something is like going to happen. Signs, because trigger warning, suicide. If you, a lot of times when an individual commits suicide, you always have family members and friends who are shocked. And I always tell people the signs were there, you just didn't look for them. And so I want to give you some signs to look for when you think someone's behavior is going to change. If they stop doing things they love doing. Like, if, for instance, if I just stopped uploading videos altogether, or I stopped taking photos, or I stopped being on social media altogether, that's a huge sign that something is wrong. Another thing is if someone starts giving away all of their prized possessions. Like, if you see somebody who's giving away their computers and electronics and phones and everything, and they're just like very nonchalant about it, that's a sign also. Another sign is when a person will say, oh, I don't want to be here anymore, and then they say they're joking. Pay attention to that. Also, pay attention to the way they speak. Pay attention to behavior, pay attention to mannerisms. If things start to change quickly, pay attention to that. You don't have to flat out ask, do you plan on killing yourself? Just pay attention and just let them know you're always there. Those are signs that something is going to change dramatically in their life, that you need to pay attention to that. That way you're not completely shocked, and you just saying, are you okay? Those 3 words can really help somebody be better. So I just wanted to give tell you what signs to look for. In case you've heard that recently or you've heard that before, you can go back and play the conversation in your head, and you can figure out what's really going on. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and tell you how my year has been. There's been some bad moments, but for the majority of it, I can't complain. My moods have been in check, and I couldn't ask for a better way to end this year. But yes, I do appreciate you all watching my channel, subscribing to it, commenting, liking, and also my Instagram and joining my Facebook group, all that stuff. I appreciate all of that, because you guys do not have to be here, you know. You can watch somebody else if you wanted to, but you choose to watch me, and I always appreciate that. I appreciate every single subscriber that I get. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And I will see you all next time. Bye.